Hey everybody, welcome to the PixelBlips podcast for September 15th, 2013. I'm Andy Ryan. Joining me as always is my co-host at Demon Head, Dave DeWart. Dave, what have you been playing this week? Clash of Demon Head?
Oh, okay. So last week, 2 weeks ago, when we were here doing shows...
oh no, you can't say that.
Oh no, I ruined the illusion!
The illusion is gone!
Because they couldn't tell because we were wearing the same clothes. So after last week, or 2 weeks ago's show, that Monday was...
Labor Day.
So we went out, we were vintage shopping, things like that. I almost bought a PS2.
Thank you, union organizers.
Thanks for Labor Day.
And the 40-hour work week.
Yeah.
And
weekends.
Yeah.
And weekends. So I went ahead, I almost bought a PS2 when we were at our vintage stock. And Andy knows that I mulled it over, went back and forth on it for like 30 minutes. And then I was just like, nah, screw it, didn't buy it. Wound up buying one on Amazon for like $60, got a bunch of free games. And then somebody let me borrow Dragon Quest VIII, and I've been playing a lot of that.
If you remember back to our Best RPGs episode, Dragon Quest VIII rates pretty high.
Yeah.
So how many hours have you sunk into it?
Probably only about 3.
Okay, so are you two...
I made it to the town where...
Are you in yet?
I'm still...
Are you still on the first island?
I'm still in the first area. I haven't got a world map. Like I think both my dudes are like level 10 or 11.
Have you gone to the waterfall yet?
I did the waterfall.
Okay.
I'm at the town where Jessica is, and if I know my Dragon Quest well enough, Jessica's the girl with red hair that's on the cover. Okay. Haven't actually seen her yet.
Oh, okay.
The whole thing about her brother dying and whatever. I got to figure out what I got to do in order to get her in my party.
And then later to Puff Puff.
Okay. Anyway, so I've been playing that, and it's a lot of fun. It's a crazy grindfest game because it's a Dragon Quest game. And you really need to stop doing that because it's distracting.
Puff Puff.
But, you know
what
it's...
you're doing.
It's I don't know. It's just really interesting because I don't remember games on the PS2 looking like this. It was really
looking that good or
well
because I think that's like a good example of like here's the limitations of technology. Yeah. And here is just an art style and a rendering style
that works out really well with it.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand.
I mean, part of it is I'm playing on a HD TV, so it kind of looks crappy.
But you can do the widescreen version, right?
Well, yeah, it looks crappy and blown out though, like because I'm used to these are solid lines and then
cables.
Huh?
Component cables?
Well, they have to be.
Okay.
Because it doesn't have HDMI out.
No. Well, you could have composite on it.
Oh, I have composite.
So it's hooked up what way?
Green, red, blue.
Component. Okay.
Yeah. I've got the component running in.
Well, it still looks really good.
It looks really good, and God of War 2, because that's one of the games I got with my PS2. It looks just as good as I remember God of War 2 looking when I played it the first time. Now, the last time I played it, I played the HD version on the PS3, and that was cool. But so now I have a PS2, and I can start playing some of my favorite games from when I was in
college,
high school, and right after high school. Yeah. So, and it's fun. I like Dragon Quest. I like the music. I never played a Dragon Quest game before, and I really like the guy that did Dragon Ball Z. Is the guy that did all the character designer for this, and it's really neat.
Yeah, and it's really
I'm having a lot of fun
and
with
I
it.
love the monster designs. I've always loved the monster designs.
Yeah, and just like all the music is just like this full orchestra.
Yep.
And it's just awesome. I'm like, yes, I love this music. I'm gonna play this game just because of that.
Yes.
So. And that's pretty much all I've been playing. I tried the Diablo 3 on the PS3 demo that they put out. Yeah. Having played way too much of the PC version, it's a bit of an adjustment, and I think it suffers from the same problems that a lot of games like Diablo.
Hotkeys?
Well, no, you only need 6 hotkeys, right? So you've got your face buttons and then the 2 trigger buttons for your 4 abilities plus your 2, passive, not passive, but like don't need to activate every second buttons. And it's neat. Like, I'm fine if you're playing one of the melee classes. Yeah. But if you're playing one of the range classes, it suffers from the same faults as the PC version in that you have to aim, and aiming with a thumbstick is a little bit harder than aiming with a mouse.
Yeah. That's kind of the reverse problem people are having with Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn, where it's designed for a PlayStation controller, but they want to use a keyboard and a mouse, and it's not.
Well, you could. I mean, so was Terra, right? Terra is designed to be played with a 360 or a PS3 controller on your PC, but you can play it with a keyboard and mouse, and then it just plays like a third-person shooter because you have a little reticle in the middle, and all your abilities are actually they're not like lock onto the enemy like WoW or Rift, where you lock onto the thing, and as long as it's in front of you, your spell will hit it. You actually have to aim.
So speaking of Dragon Quest and Dragon Warrior. I played Dragon Fantasy Book 1. I finished Book 1.
Oh, you finished book 1? How's that?
It was good.
Just in time for book 2?
Yeah, the humor continues throughout, and it has a very nice, witty sense of humor. I started Book 2, and the humor continues.
Good.
Haven't gotten very far in Book 2 because I got another game for my Vita that I've been playing a lot of.
Such as?
Killzone Mercenaries.
Oh, yes. Your Killzone Mercenaries.
Yeah. So Killzone Mercenaries is very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually we'll probably do a video where it's just Andy explains the Killzone universe to everyone.
Yeah, because I don't get it.
Prior to Shadowfall coming out, because Killzone Mercenary adds an interesting wrinkle to the timeline that either they didn't mention before or wasn't
Or it was
a keystone.
Yeah, or it's one of the it's about the whole you're this guy that fights for both sides spinning.
In Mercenary, yes.
Yes. I mean,
but you're really not.
Really?
I mean, the story ramps up where it's kind of like the one side hires you to do a bunch of jobs, and then there's a story plot point and a twist point that they won't hire you anymore. So the other side.
So then you have to just go working for the other guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's very good. The single player campaign is very good. On par with Uncharted and Golden Abyss in terms of portable action storyline.
So it's like you can play this in 10-minute chunks and still feel like you've done something.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Pause it, come back, pause it, come back.
Well, I mean that's one of the key features with the Vita is you can just
that
stop your game and then.
Yeah, that standby mode is really good.
Oh, and I use it all
multiplayer
the
set up
time.
to like be done in under 30 minutes.
Yeah, I'd still think like especially with that Killzone or what is the mode that they have?
Warzone.
Warzone. That Warzone mode just seems like 30 minutes is a long time to play a single game on your Vita.
Yeah,
when you're sitting here and it's real intense. Like it's not something you could play on a bus or in a
now
car.
we've really gotten to the point where like, I mean, we're only a week out from launch, but already I'm getting the feeling that like people are understanding what the game modes are, and so instead of having to like let the clock drain out on the 2 hacker modes and the interrogation mode, people are actually understanding like, oh, how I get points in this mode is going and hacking those things.
It's no longer going to be a full 30. It's more like 15
not like
or
a full
20.
30, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, so I mean, the only ones that I'm like routinely like waiting for the clock to drain out are usually the interrogation mode, which is where everyone has to sneak up on everyone else.
Oh, okay.
But also you can get a shotgun if you don't mind like everyone else on the map seeing you when your little reticle pops up. And if you just aim below the waist on people, it usually takes out their legs if you're close enough, and then you can just walk over to them and do the interrogation. You have to sneak up on them.
You cheat. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's how I got it. And there's a way to counter when someone grabs you that has to do with tapping the screen to start it, and I haven't really got it to work. I haven't got it to work like readily enough.
Consistently.
Yeah. So, but normally, like if I tap, when someone grabs you, if I just tap their face a couple times, sometimes it'll trigger and I'll be able to get out of their hold, and then it'll stop. We'll kind of reset both of us, and then I can shoot them.
So the first person to hit the trigger usually is not going to. Okay.
Or the first person to then restart that melee. Usually you can bring it around.
Oh, cool.
But I haven't been able to figure out, and I haven't read the manual. The other day I just figured out that they do have that motion sensing to fine tune the aim. So I've been doing really well.
Well, good.
Because I can kind of aim in on someone and just tilt.
Do you have to turn it on?
Yeah, you have to turn on the option
setting that you have to turn on.
I have mine turned on, and then like the y-axis sensitivity like cranked through the roof, so I can just aim center mass at somebody and pull up a little bit on the Vita, and then squeeze off a shot. And I usually am getting pretty good with headshots.
That's good. Yeah, that was one of the things that I was thinking about, like when we were playing the beta. It's not. Maybe it either wasn't in the beta or it wasn't like that option was disabled at the point when I was playing it.
Yeah.
So that's good to know that they have that, because that helped a lot in Uncharted, where you were sitting there and you just kind of have to like shift a little bit to kind of just nudge it.
It becomes very natural.
Yeah. You shift it a little bit to nudge it into headshot mode, and then you're good.
Yeah, headshot mode. So the multiplayer is there, and it's clearly the standout part of the package. But the campaign and the contracts mode are there because they know you're not always going to have Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And with those modes, you can still build up money. Like right now, I'm sitting on 100,000 Vectin war chest, and like I've got my loadout that I like, and now I'm kind of going into other loadouts.
Looking for other sets up,
like
to set out.
Specking out, like, oh, if we're in interrogation mode and I need to be really quick and silent, I have an interrogator suit.
Yeah. Okay.
That has a silenced pistol and a silenced
assault rifle.
Yeah, but it's not my main assault rifle.
It's like a
My main assault rifle has
An
become...
SMG maybe?
No, because my main assault rifle has become the Helgen assault rifle. That for this, they spec'd out with a small scope that doesn't have as far a zoom as your normal assault rifle, and a silencer. So it has a bigger spread on it, but it's pretty good at range taking people out. Like, there's one level that's modeled after the Helgen landing in Helgen 2 of the river. You basically, it's the part they always showed off to people. You're flying in on the big intruder ships, infiltrator ships. They drop you in, you jump off, and it's Killzone. It's Killzone does, oh my god, everything is trying to kill me a lot better than any other first-person shooter. Whereas like Call of Duty, I feel like I'm constantly invincible. Like the latest Call of Duty trailer came out, and they have people shooting guns in space, which is 100% possible.
Yeah.
But also the Michael Bay-iest thing you could do.
Well, you know, they got to keep topping themselves on Call of Duty, so. Yeah.
You know, granted, you know, if you shoot a gun in space, the kickback isn't going to be as much as you think it's going to be. It's not like you shoot a bullet and you go out at the exact same velocity because you're a lot bigger than the bullet.
Yeah, your mass is greater.
Yeah, but you're still shooting yourself backwards. And they have like people with assault rifles out there in spacesuits. And all I could think of is the end of Moonraker, that James Bond movie from the 70s with Roger Moore. And I'm just like, I'm embarrassed for all of you. Anyway.
Yeah.
So in Killzone, like Killzone does a good job of, because you're slow, everything's heavy, you can't aim, you don't feel invincible. And then always throwing you into situations where like, oh my god, the world's blowing up around me. And Mercenary does a good job with that too.
That's good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I enjoyed my time with the beta. I think that, you know, the 30-minute Warzone mode seems like that's just a lot. Like I'm not, if I'm going to sit down.
Once again, in the beta, like
a lot of people didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. Like you didn't even know how to hack correctly. So.
No, and I just tell them I don't really mess with it again. But I mean, it seems like if you can get it down to about 20 minutes, maybe 15.
Well, but I think that's the point, is that Warzone mode taps out at 30 minutes because they're like, this is a coffee break.
Yeah, that's what you would do on a lunch or something.
Yeah, so like at 30 minutes, we're done.
Yeah. And the matchmaking was really weird in the beta too. Like it took me a couple of times. Like I would log in and then it would kick me out because I said you lost internet connection, and then it would kick me out again. It took me a couple of times of doing it. And then it might just be my Wi-Fi.
It was a beta?
It was a beta, yes. I understand. Hopefully it's not doing it in live.
Although I've gotten kicked from a match twice.
Because you were a jerk or because your internet died?
Internet died.
Okay.
And I don't know if that was on my end or their end.
Okay.
But it does tell you like you got kicked from latency.
Yeah. So you know that happens, and you got to expect that that's going to happen on a portable console.
But considering how many hours I've been playing over the past week that I had it, because a lot of that was my vacation.
Yeah.
2 matches getting kicked for latency, no big deal.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good.
No big. And I'm looking forward to more maps. I'm looking forward to.
Are you going to buy the $5 map pack that nobody's going to play because it's not the original maps?
Well, that's the other thing.
Do you think it's going to have the Call of Duty syndrome where a map pack comes out and nobody wants to play those maps?
No, the Call of Duty syndrome is a map pack comes out and people will play either only those maps or only the old maps.
Yeah.
Guerrilla's been really good about offering freebie stuff. Like they were the first ones to say like, hey, this map pack for the first 5 days is free.
So you get to try it out before you buy it.
No. Like if you get it during these 5 days, it's free. If you have to wait, you have to pay. And now with Shadowfall, the one on the PS4, they've said all map packs are free going forward.
Good.
So I don't know if Mercenary is even going to have a map pack.
It may, and it seems like it's set up for them to allow you.
Yeah.
To allow them, like the upgrade system seems like it's built so that they can make new stuff and add it in there.
Yeah.
And it'll just either be free or it'll be very, very, very cheap.
Blackjack stuff. The maps are varied enough. The only map that I don't like is there's a map where you're on a Helgen oil rig.
No, that's not the one that was in
the one from the beta is actually it took me 2 days before I saw it.
Really?
I don't know if they just decided like we're just going to keep that one out of the rotation for 2 days and then we'll add it back in or what.
Yeah, because everybody played it for so long, and now they want to see all the new content.
The oil rig one, there's a spot on the oil rig where you're up, and there's a spot beneath it, 2 levels, and then there's 2 diagonal supports that jut out to another landing area for the oil rig.
Yeah.
and then in that landing area is kind of like a little mazy area.
Yeah, yeah.
And then under that, there's a little area that has pipes that go back to the center area. So it kind of always ends up where people are up here shooting down, and then the other people are trying to get underneath. So the last time I played that map, I had probably 35 kills and 10 deaths.
Because you were just...
Because I knew where people were going. And normally in Killzone Mercenary, so far, my kill-death ratio has been pretty 1-to-1.
So some maps have areas in which it's easier for you to...
Yeah, like I don't know if
to
I
camp,
just,
not camp, but to like...
And I wasn't camp.
Farm kills.
I don't camp, but like you say, like farm kills. Like know that, oh, this guy's, I see him shooting down there, so he's going to pop up over here in a couple minutes because he's just going to run through up these stairs.
Yeah.
And that's not anything against the design team or anything. That's just I had gotten in there and figured that out.
That's how that may be how they want it to work. That might be how they wanted that level to flow.
Yeah. And that's me taking advantage of that. The marketplace one is really good because it's very vertical. The landing, the river inlet thing from Killzone 2 is really good because it has this big kind of under area with a bunch of trash in it, like boxes and those concrete pipe looking things for people to hide in. And then above it, there's a middle area that's all kind of a shanty town type thing put together. So there's a lot of side cover as you're running across these catwalks. And then on top of it, there's one big massive overpass that has been hit by something, so it's destroyed and crumbled, so you can climb up on it. And up there's a bunch of stuff to hide behind, so it's basically a sniper's nest.
Yeah.
But there's like 3 points off the top of my head that you can sneak up there and kill people. Because I've snuck up there during interrogation and just went through and just, you're dead, and you're dead.
Just take out the snipers.
Yeah. Let's see, what else? What other levels do I like? I like the seaside because it's good because there's the open half and then there's the tunnel half. So if I run out of ammo for my one gun, I switch to my shotgun and go to the other
go in the tunnel half and be like, here's a bunch of free kills. Boom, boom, boom.
And
there's nowhere to hide, really.
No, and then for Blackjack, the guy who sells you all the weapons, you can spec out your character to have a Vanguard that, unlike the normal Vanguards where the Vanguard missile will drop and you go and get it and it randomly assigns you a Vanguard, this Vanguard is based on kills.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's kind of kill streaky. So I just kind of wait until I have one that's called the Vulture, which sends up a little drone and just radar pings everybody.
Oh, cool.
And then puts them on your map and then in your visual display.
So you can kind of see like their little red silhouette somewhere.
Yes, so if they're like on the other side of a wall,
and
this is what one of my favorite things to do in the single player campaign is there's parts where you're going through an office building and I threw up the Vulture and I can see the guys running in and then I just wait there with my shotgun and just take them out.
Because shotguns aren't cheap, right?
Yeah, noob tube. Well, the other thing is the shotgun's the easiest way to take away that damn Mantis engine. The Mantis engine is the little robot that flies around and stabs people.
Cuts your head off.
And that thing sucks.
Oh yeah, because I've tried. Like when I was playing in the beta, all I had was the assault rifle, the 2 standard firearms, and I'm sitting there trying to shoot at it, and it just goes. Bzz.
Yeah,
it's
usually by the time you see it, you should start running away from it.
I was running backwards; it just wasn't helping.
Yeah, well, because you have the assault rifle, so as you're running backwards, the spray is
bad,
wider. So with the shotgun, I can just kind of wait until it gets in the little area and be like, okay, done. hopefully one shotgun shot's enough.
Yeah, because if it's not, you're toast.
There's an office building skyscraper level that's really good for the multiplayer. It's also very vertical with a big open area in the center.
Yeah.
And there's another one that I can't remember.
There's a lot of maps in Killzone Mercenary.
Apparently. Yeah, but it's all 4-on-4, so it's good. And they're all sized correctly. Like a lot of times when you're playing 4-on-4 missions, you feel like
sometimes the map is huge.
Yeah, you never see their people. Like,
well, and that's kind of the problem. Like with this game specifically, because with like Counter-Strike, you could have 1-on-1 to like 16-on-16 on a single map. So
these maps don't break down.
They don't scale that way. It's built around having 8 players, 4 on a team. So you can kind of set up the maps to be, I don't want to say roughly the same size, but set up so that size is good for that many people.
Yeah, but given the sales so far, I think you're not going to run into that. I think we'll constantly have. I see this kind of being like Killzone 3. Because Killzone 3, people weren't really happy with the multiplayer, so they went back to Killzone 2. But Killzone 3 was standard, matches were full for months. and then you started to see it taper off.
And then it tapered off after so long.
Yeah,
but
people go back to Killzone 2, which there are still. You can log into Killzone 2, and you will still play people.
Well, it's good. I mean, if
It's
you really want to
Killzone.
play some Killzone 2.
Killzone 2.
Yeah.
I think Killzone 2 is the best. So far, it's the best one they've done overall. Story, single player, and multiplayer. But Shadowfall looks a lot better.
Well, obviously it looks better because they got more horsepower to work
Well,
with.
not like graphically. I'm not saying
Yeah, yeah.
graphically, but the story for Shadowfall has me really excited.
Well, good. I'm glad you're excited because, we got 2 new consoles coming
Two
out
new
this
consoles,
year.
yes, and I have to be excited because I'm buying one.
You was probably before the end of the year.
Yeah, hopefully, God willing. If it shows up. I'm not pre-ordering it. I've decided because by the time I had the money to pre-order it, all the retailers were doing like those little bonus packages.
Yeah.
And I didn't know.
I thought you were going to get it on the Zon anyway.
Yeah, but
I
can get it on Target.
I'm waiting until early next year. So maybe I can get it around.
I think I can go Target. So speaking of next year,
Yeah.
So we're talking about launch dates. So we now have all launch dates for all territories.
We do. Sony's coming out here on the 15th.
Yep.
Microsoft's coming out here on the 22nd, as well as most of Europe.
No, that's the hang up.
I said most of Europe.
No, I'm not even going to say most of Europe.
All the big countries that you could name, they're coming out in.
Finland, it's a big country.
It is a big country.
Norway, it's a big country.
Not one of the ones that you would think of.
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam is not a country. It's a
Ah,
city.
Denmark.
But I mean, you're thinking
Denmark.
like the major markets, right? I'm not saying that all those
Italy.
other. Italy, it is coming out in.
It is coming out.
It's
in
coming
Italy.
out in
Okay, so we
Italy.
got
It's coming out in a good.
Italy, Spain, France, Germany, Britain.
It's coming out in a very
Is it coming
large.
out in Ireland?
Yes.
Okay, so Ireland.
France.
Spain,
Okay.
France, Germany, Britain.
It's also
Ireland.
coming out in Australia and New Zealand and Brazil and Mexico and the U.S. and Canada on the 22nd.
On the 22nd.
And then Sony comes out in Europe in probably very similar countries on the 29th.
On the 29th.
And then
They're
it's coming
having a Europe-wide launch,
Yes.
which includes Sweden, Norway,
all the countries
Iceland.
that yes. Okay.
Denmark.
Either way.
Yes.
They're not region.
I don't like when people are like
Here-
the European region. They're like, we're launching in the European. You're like, okay, what countries are in the European region? Because when you say
Here's
you're
the
watching
thing.
in North,
Things aren't region locked, are they? I said Xbox Ones aren't region locked, correct?
no, but they've said you might not be able to play it if you buy it in a region that it is not yet launched in.
You mean in a country?
Yeah, in a country it's not yet launched in.
Because the region would be Europe.
Yes. So Denmark. Okay, so hypothetically, if I buy,
If
I'm
you
from
went to
Denmark,
Germany, bought a or an Xbox One, and then took it back to Denmark, it may not work.
it probably wouldn't work, is what they're saying.
Okay.
Because you have to download that day one patch, and they will not have infrastructure to give you that day one patch.
So they don't have internet in Denmark? Is that what you're telling me?
No, Microsoft isn't doing Xbox Live for the Xbox One in those countries until they launch, until the console launches there. They've said that.
So they just get a buddy with a proxy server that lives in Germany and win the game.
Sure.
I mean, there are loopholes.
There are
everything.
loopholes around it. You know what I could also do is just go to freaking Hong Kong and buy the thing now.
You could probably, but either way, I mean, so
Just wait in Shenzhen until it drops and be like, oh, there it is.
so
Even though they're not launching
where
in Asia.
we're kind of where we're going with this is
The
Microsoft
question is the launch dates, the worldwide launch dates.
does the launch date of the PS4 in the U.S. beating Microsoft
By a week.
mean that it's gonna
Is the-
it's
will-
gonna have that big lead that Microsoft had on Sony last year?
Yeah. Will that 1 week make the same difference in the United States as it will make in Europe?
Or
Because
in,
Xbox One launches, we'll say Europe. I'll stop being
Yeah.
nitpicky. So Xbox One launches a week before PS4 in Europe. Will that cause as many sales to go to Xbox One as the PS4 launching a week before Xbox One here in the United States? My response is no.
probably not.
And here's why. One, my point about the week difference, it wasn't really that PlayStation was going to get so many sales in that week. It was
Yeah.
that Xbox One was that much closer to Black Friday.
Yeah.
So
and
it will get swallowed up in the Black Friday ad shenanigans.
it won't. It'll have its 1 week, And then Black Friday shows up. Sony
And
will
they're
have
not
its
going-
1 week
yeah.
plus the week after.
And they're not discounting that Xbox One.
Well, they're probably not discounting the PS4 either.
No, they're not
I mean,
discounting
you'll
that
see-
new hardware. I would say
You'll see bundles.
you might,
but
yeah, bundles. I would say you'll see bundles, but I don't think you'll be getting anything.
and you'll
with
save
those
like maybe
bundles.
$10 if
Yeah.
you buy all these games and an extra this
All these games, an extra controller, and
the
the camera,
box.
all that stuff, and you'll save $5.
$10 maybe.
Yeah.
And then that'll be the same for both, right? Like you'll get all the game, the console, and an extra controller, and
Yes.
it'll save you $10 or something.
So the biggest problem with all this, the weirdest thing is that we had Tokyo Game Show and Sony said, "Hey,
Tokyo
PS
Game Shows this week.
this week, well, what was
They had their
the
own. They had their own
presser
little thing.
Yeah, okay. So we had Sony's presser thing, and they said, "Hey, PS4 launching in February 22nd in Japan."
Which is weird because normally Japan gets stuff at least
This is
close to the
payback
same
for the
time and
Vita.
usually way before
Yeah, this is-
anywhere in the rest of the world.
This is payback for the Vita. They had
Kinda, I
it's almost
guess.
the Vita launched in December, so it's not exactly payback. We're kind of getting on them, but
Yeah, it's just weird, and I think Sony's like, you know what? We know Japan is going to buy the PS4. No matter when we put it out, we know they're going to buy this.
we don't
thing.
need to worry about the Xbox One in this territory.
No, because I mean, if you
Because
look,
one, the Xbox One still is launching in 2014,
sometime in 2014 with Japan.
which we might know this coming week at Tokyo Game Show, but
They probably that would be the place for them to announce a Japanese launch.
I don't think they will. And here's why. So a couple days ago, Major Nelson, the PR dude that runs the blog
Yeah.
for Xbox, tweeted out a picture of the first Xbox One off the assembly line.
Yes. Yeah, I remember seeing that picture.
A few days ago, a guy from Microsoft tweeted out a picture of the first Xbox One off the production line. Now, could this picture have been taken weeks and months ago? Yes. If that picture was taken the day he tweeted it, a few days ago,
A couple days ago
and the first Xbox One off the production line
was sometime this week.
was sometime this week, do you think they're going to have as many Xbox Ones as they will have PS4s?
Probably not,
If
unless they're running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week,
well,
and they have a
are.
time bubble.
Well, they are running that heavy, just because that's how you do things.
That's what you would have to do. But I'm saying like,
But let's say PlayStation's already said they have over 1 million pre-orders.
yeah, which is, I could understand that because everybody was like, oh my God, it's $100 cheaper, let's go, and then those
Now,
sales.
some of those might have been canceled and anecdotal evidence and whatever.
Yeah.
But let's just say the 1 million is the number.
Yeah,
So do you think they'll have 1 million consoles on day one?
I would hope so.
I mean, ready to ship and sell. Here you go.
Well,
1 million
on day
consoles.
one, they should have already been shipped.
Well, yes, but
You mean in stores ready to be picked up?
Yes.
I would like to hope that they would have at least 1 million too for the 200,000-ish people that are going to want to buy a console who didn't pre-order. But
Okay,
that's
so-
just me.
so 1 million consoles. But I'm saying
Yes, I would like to think that they would.
okay.
I wouldn't bet
Is it-
on it because you know how that goes.
Yeah, it's true. But is it possible that they have that?
It is possible if they started making them months ago.
Okay, the Xbox One. Is it possible that they will have 1 million consoles on day one?
If they started making them last week, if the first one rolled off the thing sometime last week, I don't think it's possible for them to have that many. I mean, I don't know how long it takes to make one of these things, right?
True.
Like, I mean, to put one of those things together,
Well, let's just
assuming the
assume
boards
it's-
just arrive as made.
Let's say they're like Dell laptops, or even better, let's say they're like Dell towers,
Okay.
and you just have to run them down the line.
And people put the piece in, next guy puts the next piece in, you just assembly line the whole thing. You're making, one line of workers is making 10 every 5 minutes.
Sure.
Something like that. You could do it. It would be a pain in the ass, but you could probably do it.
So, do you think when these things launch on December, by December 1st,
How bad are the shortages going to be?
Yeah, here we go. By December 1st, what console do you think you will be able? Which one would you be able to walk into a Walmart and buy?
If I was just any
Assuming
retailer,
all
rather.
demand is equal.
I would think I would like to hope you'd be able to buy either on December 1st, assuming that the consoles, the Microsoft picture is right, like it came out last week, and that's the day. Probably a PS4, probably not an Xbox One. But I would hope
And
by
that's why I'm saying all these weeks, leads, and all this other stuff ain't gonna matter. Because it's going to be how many can you get into stores.
yeah.
Forgetting pre-orders, forgetting I heard that managers from GameStops are getting them for free, for getting all this other stuff.
Yeah, but they may not get theirs until, August of next summer.
Whatever. Forget it all.
Yeah.
How many can you get in the stores? Like, with a price tag on them, behind glass, so that a mom can walk in on Black Friday and say, I want that for under the Christmas tree.
And that's the problem. We don't know that, and we honestly don't know when the first Xbox Ones and the first PS4s were made. For all we know, Sony just started popping them out last week too. For all we know. So we might have shortages on both ends. There might be...
Well, keep in mind, the PlayStation hardware has been set in stone.
For a while.
2 weeks ago, when we were talking to them the last time, they had just announced that they had upped the clock speed on the CPU by adding a different GPU to the Xbox One motherboard.
So that means that they would have had to
so they
start
were
manufacturing.
Tinkering.
Yes, they were still messing with it. And
now, once again, that could have been a decision made 2 weeks before they announced it.
Or 3 weeks, or whatever. They just announced it when they announced it.
Yeah. And now we're having to deal with Microsoft continually showing up in comments sections, which I think is hilarious, of Gamasutra and Polygon and Kotaku and all these other things saying, hey, just because this developer says the PlayStation 4 is faster isn't really true. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, Digital Foundry goes, no, literally, like we have this line of shit that is for the PS4 and this line of shit that is for the Xbox One. And if we tell them both what is 2 plus 2, the PS4 will answer us quicker.
Yeah, or run it through some crazy test, because that would be pretty instant anyway.
Well,
but I understand. They run their tests, like if they have dev kits or something, then they get to run the same
also,
benchmark on both.
This goes all the way back to PlayStation 4 dev kits were out in the wild 2 years ago, and we were getting pictures of them before the console was announced.
Yes.
Xbox One's dev kits, we were hearing as late as June that developers weren't getting them.
Yeah.
And the Xbox One had been announced, and we saw it in the big black thing, and it said TV, Sports, TV, TV.
Yeah.
Call of Duty, dog. We had seen everything. They're like, we still don't have that. Like, we're supposed to make games for that.
Where's our box for this? Oh, just use your PS4 one, and then it'll work.
Yeah.
No.
So I don't think the week is going to make that much.
Well, we'll see. And since we know we don't have a Xbox One release date in Japan, and hell, they may never release in there because they did so abysmally in Japan.
I think you have to release it in Japan just because there's enough demand in that market, just like you have to release a console in Northern Europe, even though they're so hardcore PC.
Yeah.
And mobile phone, you just have to really, because there's people there that will buy it, so you're going to make money by releasing it.
A free copy of FIFA 14 for your Xbox One, if you pre-order it, is a decent incentive.
Just buy a PlayStation 4 and a copy of FIFA and save yourself $40.
Or 40 euros.
40 euro.
Whatever their tax rate is.
So yeah, it's very interesting. And no, I don't think the week, and if the last time we discussed this, I gave anyone the impression that week was going to be all Sony sales, I'm sorry. But the real problem is it's that Xbox One launch is too close to Black Friday.
Well,
so
yeah.
like when you open that circular,
some people would argue that the 15th is too close to Black Friday.
True.
But
when you open that circular for Target,
the week before,
Yeah, Target's going to add ad space that says, hey, PlayStation 4.
It'll probably be a full or half-page ad.
Yeah, and then they'll have ad space. They might have ad space for the Xbox One, or they might just say, our Black Friday, pre-Black Friday, because now we're doing pre-Black Friday sales, are going here.
Yeah.
And it's just...
And then they have post-Black Friday, too, so it's like 3 Black Fridays in a row.
That, and anecdotally, the demand for the PlayStation 4 is a lot higher, and Sony seems to think that they can meet that. So Sony has had large problems doing that before.
Well, good on them, and hopefully we don't get the red ring of death and the blinking light of doom,
or people
yellow light
stabbing
of doom,
each other for PlayStation 3s. And,
things like that. I want these both to go well. I want them to come out. I want there to be demand for people to buy them who already want them, who have already paid for them.
I want at least 2 people in the game space because you want competition. It's good.
Well, I want both. I want them both to have the demand. I want them both to do well because then we get better games out of the deal.
Yeah.
Like we have the better systems, we have the better games. It's just more fun for us in general.
True.
Do I think that Microsoft is going to be able to keep up? Probably not. Do I hope they can? Yes. I want them to prove me wrong. I want Sony to, I don't think Sony's going to be able to handle it as well as they hope they will.
I
think they'll do okay.
Having to get one of these off the shelf because that's what I'm going to have to do.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to go to like 4 or 5 Targets, be like, you guys got them? No? Okay. You got them? Can you just call me when you got them? No.
No. Just.
I want
make
there to be,
buddies with one of the guys that works there, and then when they come in, he'll be like, "Hey, dude, I got a whole bunch of them in," and you can come in and get one.
Yeah. I want there to be 2 people in the 2 platform holders in the video game console space. I know that eventually the market won't be able to handle those 2 players. I think one of those players has done a lot of things to secure their spot going forward.
Yes.
And I think the other player has had a lot of missteps in the last 365 days. And I would say there have been missteps even before that. And there's a reason Stephen Ballmer left, and there's a reason they bought Nokia, and there's a reason Don Matrick left, and there's all these other things, and none of them look good.
Oh well.
They make a huge buy-in. Well, this is neither here nor there. We'll talk about it at lunch. So, closing words.
I hope Sony and Microsoft fulfill all our dreams for these new systems, but I have a feeling we'll be very disappointed come the week before December.
I hope I can get one of these things before. I hope I can get a PlayStation 4 before December 1st.
Yes. Yeah.
And I want both of them to succeed, and I think one of them has the deck stacked against them, and that one this time is Microsoft. Last time I said Sony's PlayStation 3 was stupid because it was $600, and I wasn't going to buy one at $600, and I was going to wait.
Did anyway.
Well, it was so you guys.
You did
the story of me going to get the PS3 is hilarious because I had like 8 GameStop coupons that one of them was from their circular and said, "Hey, if you bring in a controller and 3 games, we'll give you $100 off a PS4," and the other one was PS3, and the other one was, "If you bring in a PS2, we'll give you $50 off," and the last one was, "If you bring in a PS2 remote and its little dongle, we'll give you a free controller for your PS3." So I brought all these in.
And you're like, I want to do this one, and then I want to do this one, and then I want to do this one, and then I want a PS3.
And I want a PS3, and I want Resistance and MotorStorm, and I want that extra controller, and give me an HDMI cable, because this coupon says I get a free one. And I ended up getting the PS3 with all that stuff for just under $600. But
Well, it was like an 80 gig, right? That's what you bought when you bought it.
I bought the 60 gig, which was the top end.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Top of the line. You can do PS2 back compatibility, all that stuff. And I bought it the May after it launched because I bought it for my birthday.
Yeah, because you had a bunch of birthday money banked up.
Yep.
Cool.
So I hope I can get one of these PS4 thingies, maybe.
Well, if not,
And I
I'm
hope
sure
Microsoft does well, and I hope all of their messaging turns on a dime, and everything will be fine.
Yeah, I want to see them do well. And
Remember a few months ago when we were making fun of the Wii U because they had to send out a flyer to people that were like, "Hey, the Wii U's different than the Wii."
Yeah.
Microsoft is sending out a flyer to people saying, "Hey, you can play used games, and you can do this, and you can do that, you can."
Yeah.
And remember when we said that was a stupid thing on the Wii U? It's a stupid thing on the Xbox
It's probably
One.
not a good idea. No.
Like, why you should just not talk about it and therefore not muddy the waters. When people ask you, "Does this thing play used games?" You tell them, "Yes, it plays used games." But you don't go out and say, "Hey, you might have heard this thing doesn't play used games."
But it does.
Because you might lose people before they get to the "but it does."
Yeah.
So it's just dumb from an ad space.
It is weird. And I want to, like I said, I want to see Microsoft and Sony do well. But I have a feeling one of the two of them is not going to do that well this year. But we'll see.
Don't forget to spay and neuter your Pokemon.